Welcome to Dysfunctionally Yours, the podcast where we embrace the chaos, laugh through the struggles, and find hope on the other side of trauma. I'm your host, Brittany, and if you've ever felt like your life was a beautifully messy roller coaster of dysfunction, trust me, you're in good company. Here, we'll have real, raw, and sometimes ridiculous conversations about mental health, relationships, and healing, because let's be honest, life isn't always pretty, but that doesn't mean we can't come out of it stronger and maybe even smiling. So grab a cup of coffee or a glass of bubbles, and let's navigate this wild journey together, dysfunctionally, but never alone.
Welcome back, friends, to another episode of Dysfunctionally Yours. I'm your host, Brittany. Happy day. Happy day. I know this releases on Monday. Who knows what day you're listening to it? I don't know, but happy day to whatever day you've got going for you. How has everybody's week been? I will say that my week has been uneventful. And like calm, like delightfully uneventful and calm. I guess before I get into all of that, I was scrolling on the Tickies of Talks, and there's a lady that I follow, and she talks about animals all of the time, and so obviously I follow her. She was talking about all of the different kinds of pigeons, and what she said was just so 100% relatable, because she was like, if you would have asked me what a pigeon was, I would have shown you this, and shows you your basic run-of-the-mill pigeon. And then she proceeds to show all of these other different kinds of pigeons that there actually are. Some wildly disproportionate, looks sort of like one of those like stress balls that like pops their eyeballs out. That's weird. How do you survive, bird? And then other pigeons that are actually so fluffy and beautiful. And I am actually gonna, on the YouTube, I'm gonna overlay some pictures of these pigeons on here, because like where, not even who, just where, because I've lived all around the world and I have never seen some of these freaking pigeons. So, yeah, where? Also, I made myself some tea, and it's so freaking hot that I can't even drink it. And I really want to, and I just can't. It's just it. But look, if you recall a handful of episodes ago, I was talking about like the little tea saucer. Look at this little tea saucer. What? And I called it a tiny plate. And then I was like, oh, it's a saucer. That's what they're called. I feel like a grown-up whenever I drink tea, just in general. And then I feel like a super grown-up when I drink tea with a saucer. The irony in me saying all of this right now is that I'm sitting here in a unicorn onesie. So only a little bit of a grown-up. And it's just so hot. All right, my ache and relief of the week. What is my ache and relief of the week? My ache of the week. My ache of the week. Do I have an ache? I don't necessarily. I don't think I have an ache. Yeah, I don't think I have an ache. And I think that that is okay. I think that it is 100% okay to not have something to gripe about. Like that has to be a bonus, right? That has to be a good thing. And I don't think that we should have to force ourselves to find an ache. My relief of the week is probably just overall the calm uneventfulness of it all. Sometimes you feel like a grown-up. Clearly this is my theme today. And maybe I'm fighting it a little bit, hence the unicorn onesie, as aforementioned. Is that the right word? I think it is. Aforementioned. That makes me feel like a grown-up. Um, no. Do you ever have those moments where like this is what it means to be an adult? And which is also really unfortunate because when you're a kid and you're racing to be an adult, nowhere in anything I'm about to say was that like in your plan as a teenager. Like you were not racing to be an adult so that you could sit around and drink tea and listen to, St. Paul and the Broken Bones. Also, if you don't know them, go look. And in as background music and just burning candles in your house. Like that wasn't what you thought it was going to be a grown up. And alas, here we are. Um right? Like you thought it was going to be so much fun and so exciting, and then you realize like, oh, bills. That sucks. And then you realize other grown-ups have other grown-up lives, and so those very, very rarely intersect, and you have to work really hard to plan to spend time with grown-up friends, right? Like, it's very rarely on a whim, and I say this because I mention it regularly. Look, 10 minutes notice, I'll meet you for brunch. How many times have I ever gotten a 10-minute notice brunch plan? Like, I don't. That's not how people's lives work. That's not how adults work at all. So, anyways, I think with that, like I said, I had this like delightfully calm week. I unpacked some more. Oh gosh. I unpacked some more, not necessarily unpacked per se, but like I told you I had a box in my office and then I had another box out there of stuff I needed to hang up and see. Um, and so I was able to do that. So I unpacked slash hung things up. I worked as grown-ups do. And I hung my brother's bike on the wall. This, this, this was like my version of adulting gold star. Gold star. I This bike was discussed as we cleared out my brother's house. This is like his most prized possession. Um or I don't know if it was his most prized possession, but like so many times when you think of Chase, you're like, or think of his bike. He rode it everywhere. He didn't drive. He biked literally everywhere though. Like this kid could get, from here to Timbuktu on a bike. This bike also, it's a fixed gear and he swears by it. And he replaced this bike like 4 times. I can think of 3 of 4 times that I personally went to pick it up for him. Like he would find one on Facebook Marketplace and he would be like, "Hey, can you go pick this up for me and bring it when you meet me?" Yeah, okay, whatever. Because it was forever getting stolen. This kid went through so many locks, like every different kind of lock you could think of, this kid had. And people downtown are just really a fan of stealing bikes, apparently. So, anyways, there's this bike. The dream was that it was going to get mounted on a wall. The people that said that they were going to mount it on the wall did not mount it on the wall. And now it is on my wall where it will remain till the dawn of time. All that being said, I spent quite a substantial amount of time researching how am I going to get this bike on the wall to make sure that it stayed and it worked and, blah, blah, blah. And so I got all of the hardware. I pull out the drill. I'm doing the things. I'm really feeling like a grown up, right? The fact that I was like, oh, let me make sure it goes into a stud. trust and believe the directions did not say find a stud, but like, because I am a daddy's girl at heart, I do know a thing or four. And I was like, oh, I'm going to find this stud. So anyways, I'm hanging it up. After I have drilled 3 holes in the wall, I start to panic and I'm like, oh fuck. What if this pulls down the whole wall? What if I pull down an entire wall doing this? So I freak out. I call in for some help and I call my buddy and I'm like, how do I do this? And he's like, are you asking me to come do it? Or are you asking for like help? Or advice. And I was like, I just need some tips. And so I take pictures of everything I have and everything that I've done and everything that I'm planning. And he's like, yes, go forth. Go forth. You got it. You're going to be just fine. And so with that little teeny tiny bit of reassurance via text it was like 7 a.m. It was early as hell. I did it. And then I was able to take a step back and I actually cried. So this bike was a big deal. Anyways, all of that to be said, I realized that I'm not mad about how calm the week was. I'm not mad about how uneventful the week was. I'm not restless and I'm not really waiting for the other shoe to drop, right? I'm just good. I went to therapy and my therapist was like, what are you going to do this weekend? And I was like, I'm going to hang shit and I'm going to put furniture together. That's what I'm going to do. She's like, nothing else, nothing social. No, I'm going to hang shit and I'm going to put shit together. And I was so excited about it. And so for like somebody who used to confuse peace with boredom, this is such a big deal that I'm just so content with this uneventful, calm, peaceful week. I think that sometimes we talk about healing like it's this big dramatic cinematic transformation, like Sleeping Beauty, whenever the little fairies swirl around her and it like, and then it's just this big metamorphosis type thing. It's not. it like, what if healing isn't that at all? What if healing is really just this? The quiet, the consistency, the boring little joys in life that mean like your life isn't surviving anymore. It's living. And for somebody who's lived in survival mode for so long, it's quite glorious to just live. I must say. I think for a long, long, long time, God, for a long time, stillness felt so unsafe. And not necessarily because of like physically unsafe, right? Like it wasn't that at all, but there is so much going on in here and you're constantly waiting for it. And I know we've talked about it on other episodes about how that big shift changes. And you don't always feel safe with your own thoughts. You don't feel safe with your own, like that you're supposed to be doing something constantly. Like you can't just sit, you can't just enjoy, you can't just be at peace because of however you're like, why ever you're in survival, you're like, oh God, what's coming through the door? Oh God, is somebody going to judge me? Oh God, am I going to get yelled at, condemned, reprimanded, blah, 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 for just living in this like quiet calm. You really have to work on like you have to like process the idea of like retraining your brain not to expect chaos. And when you've lived in chaos, then you will just now expect chaos. Like that is the norm, right? Like that sense of adrenaline that's in your body, the sense of like your brain just constantly playing out every possible scenario that could possibly happen, like you're expecting the chaos. And I really had to retrain my brain, and that was hard. I had an ex one time, and he would just, like, put his hand on my chest and, like, push down, like, just apply pressure, and he was always just like, "Be still, like, be still. It's okay." And that pressure on my chest did a lot, right? It was really, really helpful, it was really impactful. But what happens when you don't have somebody there pushing on your chest to be like, "Shh, calm, be still, it's okay," right? I have weighted stuffed animals. I have weighted blankets. Like, I really learned that pressure, that hug, it felt so nice. And then now even longer, God, words, as even more time has gone by, I've really realized, like, I don't need somebody now, and I don't need that constant pressure. I can really just be still. I can be calm. I can enjoy the peace. It's okay to just sit, to just be. Um, and that took a long, long, long time. And like so many different variations of that. And so many different people were impacted by that journey in not always in good ways, right? Whenever you're constantly waiting for the shoe to drop and you're possibly causing and creating chaos because of that, like this self-fulfilling type of prophecy. So it's okay if you're like not there, if you're genuinely in some space in between. Um, the feeling of like uneasiness is like that uneasiness in calm is really, really normal, and it's all part of a journey. It's all part of a journey. Yeah, because we've been taught to equate like excitement with fulfillment, and that's sometimes the real joy in the quiet. Um, the real joy is in the quiet of just the ordinary days, right? Like it doesn't always have to be this huge, exciting, fireworks. That's not what it's like to be an adult, right? Like I was talking about at the beginning, like we think that we're so excited to be an adult. And then in all actuality, the most exciting part of being adult is getting a bike mounted on the wall. I was so excited about that, right? It felt like getting that put up there wasn't just about putting a bike on the wall, right? There was some closure that came to that and a memory and like peace and to know that like he's here with me and I can appreciate and I can have him around me and I can memorialize him in so many different ways. Without having like a big breakdown, without spiraling out. It was just a moment that felt really, really right. Like getting it up there, taking a step back, I shed a tear. So proud of myself that I got it on there. I don't know why I was so proud of myself. You'd think I never hung anything up before, but like that was a thing. I felt very grown up for getting to do that one all by myself. Um, and just to like that came with a lot of other big feelings because of what it is specifically. But that is part of being an adult. Like that is the excitement right there, right? Nobody else was there. Nobody else was a part of it. It didn't come with a celebration. I mean, I did brag about it all day, but it was just hanging the bike. Healing doesn't always demand the big noise or the milestones. Sometimes it's really just like that gentle maintenance, like getting things put up on the wall. I haven't really had my own walls since I left Virginia and moved back to Colorado, like I said. And so to be able to like hang things back on my wall where I want, to get the stuff out of storage, to get the stuff hung up, to put it where I want it to go, It's all very, very exciting. And that's like not exciting to anybody else. It's just, exciting to me. I got a new rug. Ooh, a rug. I put furniture together. Like, not actually exciting things, actually very tedious and boring things. And God, did it bring me like this wild sense of fulfillment and accomplishment. And that is what being an adult is all about. Um, so I think that I don't know. Is it safe to say that boring is actually safe? Like, I'm not bored, so I don't necessarily want to be like, "Oh, I had such a boring weekend." But I had such a lovely, peaceful weekend, and it was a very safe weekend, and, like I said, after I was coming off of just this heightened sense of adrenaline and chaos of all of the things that are going on in my family, um, it feels good. I think we spend so long chasing the high of chaos, that when we finally get steady, it can feel really dull. Um, but fuck, at this time in my life, honestly, I will take dull over like deconstructive, dysfunctional every single day. Wouldn't you? Like, don't you? I think also having the peace also gives me space to like notice things again, to notice sunsets, sunrises, right? Like Sweetie and I get a nice sunset or sunrise walk nearly every day, and it's just lovely. It's lovely with her. It's lovely just to be out. The smell of the leaves, I love them. In the morning, there are so many ducks and geese and just water fowl all over the lake that we walk around, and it's just wild to see how many of them are there eating and getting ready to start their day. They're really quite beautiful, and so to watch them swim around as that like golden sunbeam comes across the water, it's just kind of magical, and I love it, and it really gives me something to go off of for the whole rest of my day. Um, and, sometimes I can notice my own thoughts, and sometimes that can be a good thing and a bad thing, right? I got a lot going on in there. I got a lot going on in there. It's not always positive. It's not always negative. Um, I am very self-aware and can take a lot of things into consideration and do a lot of time reflecting on things said, actions, behaviors, trends, to do my own reflecting, but I also just get to do that on my terms and not do that because somebody else told me to, or because somebody else needs a result or an expectation out of me, or, fighting for my life or anything like that. It's really just like, oh, yeah, I should look into that. Oh, yeah. Did I do that? Oh, maybe I should rethink how I navigate that personally. Like, that's me. I think if you're in the thick of it right now, this kind of peace might really sound impossible, but I promise it's coming. And when it does, don't rush it away looking for something louder. Just be okay to just be still. They make all of the signs and the jewelry and the like, I don't know, memes or whatever all over the internet, and it says be still. And whenever I used to see it, I was like, what do you mean be still? What means be still even? I don't even know what you're talking about. And it seemed like this impossible thing to obtain, to achieve. And also, why would you even want to just be still? Like, how about we don't be still? How about we just go, go, go? But then whenever you finally get over that and you're like, oh, it's nice. It's nice. It's peaceful. So we don't always have to look for something louder and flashier to drown out um whatever's going on up here. Um I think that we can wrap ourselves and wrap these feelings and thoughts up with like warmth and gratitude and um for me personally, I just don't want to. Well, I mean, like, I say warmth and gratitude because it's like we need to take care of ourselves. And sometimes we do need to be a little cozy. And sometimes we do need to, whatever it is that nurtures us to make us feel like warm and safe. But also, there's a lot of gratitude in healing. There's a lot of gratitude in like how far you've come or what your journey looks like or where you are. And, knowing that that's not where you were a year ago or 5 years ago or, oh my God, 25 years ago, even. So, this season, I don't want to just survive, right? I'm not surviving this season. I And I'm making this sort of like public announcement to myself because the holiday season gets really, really, really tricky for me. And so, right now, as we're slowly coming into it, I want to say, like, I'm not just going to be surviving this season. I want to live in this season. I want to live in it quietly and intentionally and very unapologetically. And if that means that I'm like, sitting here staring at the things I successfully hung on a wall or enjoying my tea and music and candles or whatever it looks like. Um, I want to do that and know that it's enough, know that it's okay, and be really proud that have gotten to that place. So I hope that for everybody else too, right? I hope that, you know, in this season, what take that as you will, right? The physical season of fall, the holiday season that's approaching us, this particular season of your life, because this too shall pass type situation. Whatever that looks like, I want that for you as well, that you can live in it and realize like you don't have to just survive. You can take a minute to just pause and to just be still, um, and to just treat yourself so kindly and know that it's okay and that you're enough and that you deserve that peace, right? So, yeah, my week was not exciting, and I really was like, what the fuck am I even going to talk about on the podcast? It was such a boring week with not a lot going on. And I was like, well, that is a episode all by itself, isn't it? Like, the calm, the peace, the boring of a little bit of healing and coming off of a pretty rocky summer actually. So maybe it wasn't exciting, but peace does not have to perform. It just has to exist. And I am really always so proud of myself when I just let it exist and when I can just be. And, another day will come that I get to stress out about, I don't know, a bill or life or something, right? It's not always easy. But when we have those moments where it can be and it can just be calm, like I want to embrace every moment of it. I want to just be like, yes, please. And thank you. And I think that's where I am. And I don't know where everybody is. Like I said, I don't know where everybody is in their journey or how their week has been, but please know that everything passes, right? The good, the bad, everything is just like, that saying, this too shall pass. It goes along with everything. And so even these good, calm moments, they're not going to always be forever. Life is going to continue to happen. But whenever these moments come, like, let's hang on to them as much as we can. And new episodes of Dysfunctionally Yours release every Monday on all streaming platforms. The uncut, unedited version is on YouTube. Please follow, like, and subscribe on TikTok and Instagram at Dysfunctionally Yours Podcast. And in the meantime, don't be afraid to be great. Toodles, poodles, bye.